Kevin Roose at New York Magazine pulled an incredibly bold move and just walked directly into a Wall Street 1% party. In fact, it's a secret society or a fraternity called Kappa Beta Phi. And apparently, according to his piece, he just kind of walked in with authority like he was supposed to be there and walked right past, where you're supposed to, like, check in or whatever. And next thing you knew, he was right in the center of this gigantic 1% party. And what he saw is so surprising, even to grizzled veterans like me who read about Wall Street all day, every day. So first of all the financial tycoons were there. All of the typical, stereotypical fat cats, the heads of AIG and Credit Suisse and the former head of Bear Stearns. It was basically a who's who of billionaires that got their billions off of tax dollars from the bailout. Okay, that's the type of people we're dealing with. And they had these awkward names for each other, like Exalted High Council and Grand Swipes, which is the way that you're supposed to address the leaders in that group, and the Grand Swipes in Waiting, who, of course, are the people that are climbing the ranks. And they also had lower-level rich people called neophytes. I mean, it strikes me as so silly that these are grown men, supposedly the smartest guys in the room, and they're playing dress-up. They're playing make-believe. They're like, oh, I'm going to call you this, and you call me that. What are we, 7? I mean, what are you, fucking toddler? Why don't you play Cowboys and Indians while you're at it? You need a play gun with the orange tip on it? So they actually spoke at the event about the origins of their little group and how it was created in 1929 after the stock market crash. And the reason why it was created, get this, is to have a place for the mega-rich to bond together and talk about how, they're so victimized and the 99% is so mean to them. Isn't that incredible? These guys have all the money in the world. They run society. They are, by definition, the top of society because they have the most economic wealth and power, and they think they're victimized. Well, if you're victimized, then how victimized is the guy who makes $50,000 a year and works 50-hour weeks? That guy's way more victimized than you. By definition. God, they're so silly. These human beings are so silly. So at the event, they had comedy skits that, of course, were performed by them. They weren't performed by, actual comedians or actors or anything. There were homophobic and sexist jokes that were just, run-of-the-mill, just part of it. They endlessly mocked the middle class and the poor. And here's my favorite. Guys dressed in drag. Not like they invited drag queens for like a theatrical purpose to this. No. They themselves, the Wall Street tycoons themselves, were dressed in drag. What are you doing? Why? I'm starting to think that some of these guys are like secretly transsexual and like they're too afraid in that culture to come out and wear it all the time, wear their dresses all the time or do a sex change. So they just have these one party every once in a while where it's like, oh yeah, I'm dressing like a woman for fun. I don't actually get off on this. I'm just kidding. I love this. I want to change my name to Nancy right now. God, okay, it gets more and more strange. So here's some of the jokes, by the way. Question, what's the biggest difference between Hillary Clinton and a catfish? Answer, one has whiskers and stinks, and the other is a fish. I saw that punchline come from like a mile away with these guys. And then there was just flat out homophobic and not funny at all. So, question, what's the difference between Barney Frank and a Fenway Frank? Answer, Barney Frank comes in different sized buns. Get it? He's gay. Buns is an ass. Okay. So Warren Steffens is an investment banking CEO, and he took the stage for his act in wearing a Confederate flag hat and sang a song about the financial crisis set to the tune of Dixie. And the lyrics were, "In Wall Street land, we'll take our stand," said Morgan and Goldman. "But first, we better get some loans, so quick to the Fed, man." Oh, God, stop it. Just stop it. It's not entertaining. It's not interesting. You're pretending to be a fucking Confederate, and you're going to talk about going to the Fed and begging for loans, which, of course, are financed by the American taxpayer. We're the hardworking ones, and you're just going to take our money when you fuck up? I love how they're just admitting this. They're prancing around and having a joyous time talking about how they fucked over the average guy. But it gets even worse. There was a parody version of I Believe, which is the hit ballad from the Book of Mormon, with the customized lyrics like, quote, I believe that God has a plan for all of us. I believe my plan involves a 7-figure bonus. Oh, God, man. They are just basking in the fact that they're ripping us off. They're basking in the fact that they crashed their companies, made horrible decisions, they were responsible for bankruptcy, but the government saved them, and now they're singing a show tune about how, oi, we screwed over the poor and the middle class. And one of the last skits of the night was a self-congratulatory parody of ABBA's Dancing Queen called Bailout King. I can't believe how much they're just rubbing it in everybody's face, but that's the thing. They don't realize that any of the regulars, normal people who work, right? They don't realize that, we can see this because there was a reporter in there. They didn't know. They thought they were just echoing within their rich asshole chamber. God, how out of touch with reality are these people? So here's the very interesting end to the story here. When the reporter took out his phone to record some of the singing, because he's like, oh my God, this is too good. They're singing fucking Bailout King. I got to get this recorded. So he took out his phone, he recorded some of the singing, and then two of the executives found him out. Apparently there's some rule that he didn't know about. You can't use your cell phone. And one of the guys was like, who the fuck are you? And what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? And he froze. He didn't know what to say. And he figured, I'll just tell the truth. He said, I'm a reporter. And then when the guys heard that, they were like, nobody's allowed in here except, the people that are part of the club. And he's like, oh, okay, no problem. So he started to slowly walk away. And then the two executives, the two rich assholes who found him out, followed him out, right? And then they started, get this is amazing. They tried to negotiate their way out of the story being printed, because they knew how not palatable and how out of touch with reality they would look, and how much this would make your average person hate Wall Street even more. The fact that they're joyously partying after they ripped us off, and they're happy about it, and they act like it should be like that. So I have some quotes here. One of the guys said, quote, I'll pick up the phone anytime. You can get any help you need for any story. And then another guy said, yeah, the people in this group could be very helpful if you could just keep their privacy in mind. Every single stereotype about the out of touch, crazy, greedy, rich asshole who it's never enough with them, right? It's never enough and they're only thinking of themselves. Every stereotype about them has been proven correct.